Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 51 of the PTFooty podcast. I'm your host, Peter, and today I'm joined by Sam,
Hello.
Kevin,
Hello, everyone. How you doing on this fine Tuesday?
Boo, and Zach,
What's up, everybody? Glad to
as
be
well
back.
as a special guest, Julian.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
All right. So before we start off with the podcast, I want to just mention a couple things. First off, I'm going to start with the goddamn London attack before I forget. So way ahead of you on that one, Kevin. So our condolences to everybody involved in the London attacks, all that. Very sad. Kevin usually does these diligencies, but I got ahead of him. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that we're not gonna. Basically, we're gonna forget everything if he can Porto related until if he can Sporting related until the end of the podcast. I'm gonna just mention a little bit if you think, but the episode is gonna be mostly about Porto, basically about Porto. I also want you guys to check out the new mini series that I just started. It's up on our YouTube account. It's going to be on iTunes. So I'm going to talk about one club individually for about 10 or 15 minutes, maybe sometimes with a friend. I think it's going to be really interesting. So please leave your feedback on that. Last but not least, Portugal kicked the hell out of Cyprus. I didn't watch that game. I don't think it's really that important to talk about. So I think we're just going to move on straight to Porto. What do you guys say?
Sounds good.
All right.
So,
So, I want to ask. I want to ask Julian. Let's start with him. Your
sure.
overall assessment of the season, of Porto's season, of course.
Overall, I'd say pretty mediocre, considering what we went through as fans the last, I'd say, three even previous seasons. I think there were high hopes with Nuno, but yeah, I don't know. I was never a fan of him from the start. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you'd know. But yeah, I'd say pretty mediocre. And again, it's almost like we're repeating ourselves. Being a Porto fan, nothing's really changed in the last little while. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right, Kevin. What do you think overall assessment of the season?
Um, I'll agree with Julian that it was mediocre, although I do think we were in a better spot than we were in the last couple of years. Only thing I can go back and think of that I can compare to would be like the Lopetegui time where he got sacked, because we weren't in a great spot. We were in a decent spot where we could have still um, got first
Mm-hmm.
place when we didn't, obviously. But um, I'm not like satisfied. I mean, I'm content that we're better than where we were, even though we ended up second, which obviously I wanted the first. But like compared to the last couple of years, I think we actually had a decent team compared to what we've had before. So, um, I mean, you didn't win anything again. It's tough, but I think they're on the right track. They just got to tweak a couple of pieces. Obviously, we have a new coach, although not officially announced, but there's going to be a lot of moving pieces coming up. Um, so it's going to be a very different team next season. Overall, the season was just mediocre, like Julian said.
Mm-hmm. Sam, as a more neutral person, do you have anything to add to what they said?
I don't think they were that bad throughout the season. I just think in some games they dropped needless points, but that doesn't mean to say that they've been bad all season. I think they were actually better than mediocre. I just think Benfica had a better season, which made Porto look bad. But in all fairness, I don't think they were.
Mm-hmm. Too bad. Okay. What about you? What about you, Zach?
I mean, look, I think that a lot of this generation of Porto fans grew up, like, I don't know, with a dynasty. I guess kind of like maybe like last generation's Barca fans. They knew nothing but success. And I guess that was really since the 90s. And it's really only been like a pretty recent development where Benfica have overtook them. And now it's been, like 4 years with Benfica in a new dynasty. So I think that this was a season where Porto made some strides to close that gap. And there were some issues. I think the Brahimi, again, I mean, he's Porto's best player, and so I do think that if he had been more incorporated in the lineup, I definitely think Porto would have had a better season. So Oliver definitely had some teething issues, which I did not expect, but I do think that you have to credit Nuno for some parts. I mean, Porto did challenge Benfica until probably like late April, I would say, for the title. They were really, it was really neck and neck. They didn't play good football, but you don't really expect that from a Nuno team. Overall, I would say, I mean, I think there are a lot of players who Nuno improved, such as Felipe, Marcano, Telles, even Casillas. Casillas had a great season. Nuno, just for me, and also had some decent signings. I think Taquinho was definitely signing of the season. Do you think that they're, yeah?
No, nothing. I was listening to you. I'm
Oh,
agreeing
yeah.
with you.
No, yeah, I do think there are some, like there's some room for improvement. I think they do need to figure out what's going on with that midfield position. Do you want Andre to be your guy? Can you trust Oliver? Because I do think that was a center of controversy where Oliver was benched for the game, which pretty much sealed Benfica the title. So they need to focus on that. Are you going to keep Neves? But overall, I do think there is some room for hope, and I mean, from my knowledge in League One, Conan Chao is a great young manager. Done a really good job with Nantes this past season, and I really like the move personally for Porto.
All right. And before I move on to my next question, I just gotta say thank you, Sam, for mentioning that I forgot about our 1 year anniversary. So
You're welcome.
Yeah, good job, Peter. You always say you're ahead of me, and that's what you get.
yeah, that's what I get. I get ahead on the London incident, and I forget we have a 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, and you also forgot one more thing. I was going to say it after, but I'll just say it now. You forgot about Czech Tiote, too.
Yeah.
What?
No, the Newcastle player.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Right. Tiote. Right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was sad. But yeah, there's gonna be a message at the end of the episode because Cynthia and Mario kind of had some issues and couldn't do it on episode number 50, so they're doing it for the 1 year anniversary. It's a really, really cool message. It's like a minute and a half, but it's really, really good. So do check that out at the end. All right. So Kevin, obviously this is always difficult and to go back and disagree with what was happening at the time. But would you say that you sacked Lopetegui at the wrong time, and that kind of just led to everything that's been happening? Was he sacked at the wrong time? Because you had just got to first place, lost to Sporting, dropped to second, like 2 points behind Sporting, and then he was sacked because of that game. Do you think that it was poor timing, a bad decision, and that kind of scaled to everything that's been happening?
Going back, like I've said this previously, I think that the timing was bad, considering the position we were in. They could have gave him a little longer to see where we were going to go because, I think I'm not going to say they were gaining momentum, but we were so close. Would it ended up like it did this season, how it did with Nuno? Probably more likely than not. But I don't think the whole Lopetegui situation lead it up to where we are now. I mean, you could make an argument that it did because he wasn't a proven coach, and that was a big risk that just completely failed. So I think that they should have went with somebody else. And the thing too is, um, I think that we should have took our chances on Sergio Conceição last season. Was it last season? I think it
Yeah.
was when
No. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
Guimarães. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he left Guimarães, and I remember seeing him on Sport TV on a post game interview when he was on his way out. I believe it was like his last game or something, and there was rumors of Conceição going to Porto, and a lot of people were criticizing him, and he was actually in tears and was saying, I don't know if he was illiterate or his parents were illiterate, and they've always worked hard throughout their whole life, and to say he wasn't good enough was very hurtful. So,
Uh,
um,
I think that was when they played Porto pre-game. People were saying that he was gonna bend over and that Porto were gonna easily win that game, and I think they ended up tying or winning that game. And after
it was a draw,
after they tied,
I
in
believe it
the press
was.
conference he was saying about how the fact that how his parents always raised him right. Unfortunately, they weren't there
Hmm.
to see him and all that, and that's why he got emotional. But good pickup, good pickup.
But yeah, I think that a lot of it too. I think it was more so that because Sergio's name was floating around at the time that he could have been a coach for Porto, that he could have been an option that they could have chosen, and a lot of fans criticized him, saying he wouldn't be good enough for Porto, and I think that hurt him because we all know he's a big Batista at heart. He played for the team, so um, I that is hurtful. I could see why he was hurt about it, but hey, now he has his chance. This is his time to shine, to shut up all the critics. The ones previously, I know a lot of people are agreeing now, finally, that it should be Sergio Conceição. But if you had asked me at the beginning of the season who did I want to coach Porto, would it be Nuno or Sergio Conceição? I would have picked Sergio Conceição only because um, to me, he was more proven than what Nuno was because Nuno at Valencia, he didn't do all that great. So, yeah, I think that the whole Lopetegui situation, it didn't help. Could things have been different? We'll never know. But, that was just a really, really bad choice to pick Lopetegui to coach Porto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Julian, no matter what happens this season, so if Porto signs Sergio Conceição, and let's forget about cups, let's forget about cup competitions for a moment. I'll ask you that in a separate question, but focusing just on the campeonato, and let's say that Sergio Conceição signs a 2-year deal, and he doesn't win the title in his first season. It's kind of like this one; it gets close. Do you want to see him gone, or do you want him to stay and just let the team grow under him?
Well, I think that I don't think Porto could afford. I mean, both just as a club and even financially now to keep doing that. I mean, you can't just keep losing, getting new coaches, and I think that what's happened since Lopetegui, I think Pinto Costa and management took a risk, splashing all this money at a foreign coach. Had some success with in the past, but most of the success at Porto has been with Portuguese coaches. I mean, yeah, I think that it was even harsh on Nuno and on Conceição if they sacked him, and unless they finish like fifth place, sixth place, which I highly doubt, but only realizing that it's going to take time, and I think that if you look at finances over the years, Porto usually always has they sell like Jackson Martinez, Falcon, like these big money players, and they have big money coming back.
But
I think
where's that big money potential in Porto right now? I mean, is it an Oliver or Andre Silva or Jota? I mean, I don't
well
know.
that's the thing. I think they splashed so much money at coaches in other places.
Yeah.
And there's also, you know, agents. There's a lot of backdoor deals. And yeah, I honestly don't. With Oliver, like you're saying, I think I can't remember the last time Porto paid that much money for a player that you're hearing, or you know, like it just doesn't add up. Spending 20 million, you know, Porto doesn't usually go shopping in Europe like that. Known for scouting in South America, you know, and bringing the players over to Europe to other clubs with much more money. But in recent years, we've been going around Europe and paying high prices for players that have a good season or you know, have already kind of established themselves, and they've been paying the price for that.
Yeah.
So,
So to answer Zach's question, there isn't really anyone that they can really sell for big money at the moment. I'd say so. Maybe Marega, maybe for like 10 million supposedly.
I
Maybe
mean, who gets
Swash, but I don't know.
Marega? Like maybe an English team who like has really seen
Possibly a
play.
French team, possibly.
Yeah, maybe French team. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't even know who
the
Portistas who. How many Portistas who want him in? Honestly.
I don't think anybody wants him, but they want to sell him. You know, the money's good. He's
yeah,
not gonna turn down the
he's
money.
kind of an anomaly. He does so well, and then you know doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Like I can't explain how he even what did he score like 10 plus goals?
Yeah.
I thought he was like second scorer, wasn't he? Second top scorer.
No. He was like seventh or eighth, but at one point he was the highest scorer.
Okay, but he's playing for Guimarães, you know.
Right.
Pretty good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
It's an interesting
I don't know
case,
where the
but I
money.
just. Sorry. Go ahead, Joey.
I I think it's gonna come from probably. I mean, the rumors are the defense, like Philippe, or I heard Juventus wanted him for 30 mil or something.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a player like that. I could see going. We just brought in Tequino, who was a good signing. I can't see him leaving right away. Him has been tossed around, but again, I don't see a team bio clause. I think AC Milan was the rumor. Yeah, 60 million is a lot to pay, even if you do have new foreign owners, which Milan does. But yeah, I don't know. They definitely don't have the players that they did before, the young players, but I don't think they've developed yet, potential yet.
So, Sam, because you're an expert on not winning anything. Sorry.
That's messed up.
If you know, obviously from a more neutral point of view, if Sergio Conceição finishes third, behind Benfica and Sporting, and wins one of the cups, would you want him to continue his thing with Porto, kind of like what I asked with Julian, as in winning one trophy is enough to prove that he can continue to establish the team as a more dominant winning culture?
So I'm gonna start off saying, "Fuck you, Peter." So
Yeah.
Let him have it, Sam.
but in all honesty, I'm not afraid to admit that Porto have had more success than Sporting has, and my Sporting haven't won in quite like actual title in a long time. That for say someone to come in Sporting and win the Taça Liga or the Taça Portugal is different from someone coming into Porto and finishing third and winning the Taça Portugal. So I don't think Porto should be happy with just winning a trophy. They need to win the league.
Okay. All right.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Zach,
Sorry, let me just rephrase that. They should expect more. Yeah.
Right. Zach, I'm gonna ask you because you have the more, overall football knowledge, and we'll get to everybody's opinion on this. But what are your thoughts on Sergio Conceição?
I mean, for me, I'd probably say he was like the main breakout manager of Ligue 1. He did quite a good job with bringing in some young players, such as Harit and yeah, I mean Nantes is not typically a notable French side, but he did a quality job of not only getting out results but blending in some young players. So I think it's a quality signing, and I think that Nantes' squad in some ways mirrors Porto's. So yeah, I definitely I couldn't recommend a better coach for Porto right now.
All right. Okay, I have obviously I have my own opinion of Sergio because that's quite a harsh one, but no, I think Kevin and Julian are okay with the signing, right, guys? You agree with it? You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're comparing him to Nuno and the season he had in France, yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. Well, I didn't watch any of the Nantes games, so I can't really speak for what happened in France. But to be the unpopular opinion here, uh, I don't really like him too much. I mean, he's a very heated manager. He's going to set his team on fire. He's going to be very aggressive. I just don't know how much technical knowledge he's got. Um, his teams are always super physical and very hard to play against because they're so aggressive. But I mean, you can only get so far being aggressive. I mean, that's good for Braga, that's good for Guimarães, but that's not really good enough for Porto. And while you might win a game or two, thanks to that aggressiveness, you can't constantly win without having a good proper tactic. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of iffy about. From what I remember, he was a good manager, but I don't know how much his total of football playing ability, his team playing ability improved because I don't know if you guys remember, but I mean at first Jorge had issues playing with him, and after a while, he just kind of started winning normally because he just figured out how to beat him because it was exactly the same thing every time. So that's kind of the only you know issue that I have with Conceição right now.
No, you're saying you're referring
yeah.
to him on Braga, coaching
Yeah,
Braga.
yeah, mostly Braga. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I'm not saying he can't have improved. He probably did, and he should have improved. But if his team is still more physical than brains, it's not going to work out too well. I mean, I say he might win both games against Benfica, for example, because how the way he can get his team to go, run that extra mile for him. I just don't know if he can win 34 games, uh, you know, uh, with just passion, basically. Um, but now moving on a little bit on to the team, which is basically the most important thing here. And I'm going to give you guys the current Porter squad that I messaged you guys with it, so you should have a good way of just telling me what you think. So currently the Porto squad is looking like this with Casillas, Jessá, Maxi, Felipe Marcano, Bali, Teles Layun, Ruben Neves, Danilo, André Herrera, Oliver, João Teixeira, Corona, Otávio, Brahimi, André Silva, Soares, Rui Pedro, and Poitre. Would you guys see leaving? Who would you guys want to leave at this point from those teams, from those guys?
Julian, you
Could
can take
tell
this
you
first.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll just tell you who I know is going to leave, and I think most fans, even non-fans, know. Uh, see Deport being at Porto another season.
Yeah.
I think he's done for sure. And that's just based on, I think they overpaid for him from the beginning, and he's just the average in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he's also a little older too, so he gone. I think they have to really reassess like the players coming back on loan from loan. Currently, Ricardo Pereira is gonna stay this year. I'd be really surprised if he didn't make the team. Like named to league team of the year. And I'm sure Conceição's played against him, so he that. Um, I was actually surprised that he didn't make the squad. But anyways, yeah, some of the older players I could see leaving as well. Maxi's contract is like, and then again, there's been rumors constantly. I guess the last couple of seasons, the Serie A or wherever. And yeah, apparently Jean Teixeira is also leaving, which is kind of unfortunate. I'd like to see him get another chance, but and there's only so many spots. I think you got to give Ruben Neves another shot. These other names, Jose Sa needs a chance, but again, waiting to see if they're going to keep Casillas or not for one more year. And yeah, a lot of these Jota, I'm pretty sure is going to go back to Atletico, paying whatever his wage is, his transfer
22
fee.
million. 22 million.
Mm.
I really can't see that, especially after paying around that for Oliver. I can't see them getting also getting Jota as well. Other than that, I can't see anyone else. I mean, no names like jump out at me. Maybe Leon. Leon's the other one that is rumored to be leaving. A lot of it has to do with, I mean, Conceição has to basically see, and I'm sure he's going to have, like any coach, he's going to have, he's going to pick his guys. I mean, it's happened like 3-4 years now where it's like a revolving door. It's hard to keep like a core of a team.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it lasts this time. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin. Who do you see leaving? Who do you want, to leave this team?
Who I think will be leaving? I think Casillas is out the door. I believe Maxi might be out the door, although he might be back up to Ricardo Pereira. Who I would like to see leave would be Boldy. He was just a waste of money. I don't know what they were thinking there. They could have had
although he was kind of solid, Kevin. He didn't really. I mean, the fees way, overpriced. It's ridiculous. But he kind of, whenever he played, he didn't play badly. So I don't know at what point you want to get rid of somebody.
Player.
But Martins Indy's never gonna play at Porto ever again.
Yeah, but
You don't know that.
I mean, I don't see that happening. I think he's. I mean, unless Sergio Conceição manages to talk with him, and really have a sit down with him, I think he's kind of burnt with the club. To be honest with you guys, sorry, Kevin, and I'll let you go back right into it. But he popped up Martins Indy, so you can mess with Zach. Whenever they signed him, I thought that was a very, very good signing and a very underpriced signing. So I thought he was very, very good, but apparently things just didn't work out that well. All right, go on though, Kevin. Sorry.
Okay, so let's see. I think Boldy was a waste of money. I think Layun has a lifeline with Sergio Conceição, although I don't think he'll be starting. He might be out the door. It's either going to be Moxie or Layun that leaves. For the defensive purposes, unfortunately, I would send Layun packing. Although he's a great attacker, he's a good right back. He just can't defend. Ruben Neves, I hope we hold on to him. Danilo, he could get sold, although I haven't heard any rumors. Um, Andre, um, he's gonna stay, I think. Herrera might be going, possibly. If he doesn't leave, he's just gonna stay on the bench and he's gonna lose stock. Oliver Torres, due to option by Nuno, he kind of lost steam at the end there. Like I've said this before, I don't think he's worth the 20 million that we offered. I would have preferred to pay the 22 for Jota, to be honest, but I guess we have. I think for offering 20 million for midfield is like the Ferrari in Bula. That was a waste of money, but luckily we made our money back there. Um, as far as João Teixeira goes, I would have really loved to see him stay. I think he deserves more of an opportunity. I think he has potential to be one of our best players. I think he could fill in for Brahimi. Um, Andres Silva, I think that he might be getting sold to AC Milan, but they're going to have to pay top dollar. They're going to have to pay for his release clause. Um, they can't afford to negotiate. It's either that or nothing. Um, De Patra, I think he'll be leaving. I don't think he has any space. And with the words, he's been talking to the media that he regrets it. He's kind of forcing his way out almost, going down that road. So, I think it's the end of the road for the Patra. It was the end of the road ever since he joined. Again, I don't know who thought of even signing him. It was just ridiculous. Um, I know that there's a couple of
Yeah.
needs. We need a really good striker. If we do lose Andres Silva, who knows? Maraga might stay. He might be that dark horse. I'm serious. He could be the dark horse that that we needed. He could be the one. As far as center backs go, I think that I don't know if Shadozi is going to be part of that deal with Sergio Conceição, but I would like to see him get another chance too. I think he can mature. Especially with the, I think he benefited. Although I would, who I really like to see back would be Eric Palmer Brown. I would
That
really,
guy's
really like to
gone,
see him
though.
back. I know, but I just said I would like to see him back.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you got the ties with America, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's really good. I like him. That's basically it that I
Alright.
can think off the top of my
Alright.
head. But yeah,
All right, I'll step in. I'll step in. So who I see gone. I mean, obviously, there's a 100% chance that I'm wrong, but all right. So here goes. So Maxi, Philippe, Teles. No, sorry, not Teles. Layun, my bad. So Maxi, Philippe, Layun, Herrera, João Teixeira, most likely, Brahimi, De Poitre. I think that's it. I think Casillas might stay, although there's a chance he goes. I don't think he goes just yet. Philippe, I think, is just either him or Marcan. One of them is going to leave because both of them are very wanted by the market. So one of them will eventually go, in my opinion. Layun, I don't think he wants to stay. I don't think it's a matter of who's the manager. I think he just wants to go. Herrera is just bad, and he should have left a while ago. João Teixeira might not stay. He might get to maybe not leave permanently, but probably on loan. Brahimi is beginning. He's probably going to get a couple of offers, and if it's for the right price, Porto might sell him. And De Poitre was doomed since he ever got there, like Kevin said. Just to burst your bubble here, I still got the same opinion on Ricardo Pereira, that he never plays with a Porto jersey ever again.
well, PSG's knocking on the door, so that's possible.
Yeah, I just don't know. From what I hear, he had a very, very good season, and we're clubs where we have to take the money, and at this point, Porto needs the money more than they need the player. So, I mean, they could bring up Dawo, right? He's a right back. So, maybe invest in youth. I mean, nobody gave Nelson Semedo a chance, but whenever he actually played, he took a hold of the spot. So why Porto won't do this? So why don't Porto do the same with Dawo, maybe? What do you think, Adam?
I think that's a good shout there. He's always been a prospect, Dalo, but I think that especially with the under 20 World Cup, which unfortunately Portugal got eliminated. I thought he had a really good tournament. I think he's a hot prospect for us. I know there's already teams inquiring about him, but you can't let Ricardo Pereira go and potentially Dalot because I think he's one for the future. Ricardo Pereira he could be going to PSG, but again, Peter da Costa shouldn't budge, and anything less than the release clause, depending on who it is, shouldn't be
What's the
leaving.
release
So.
clause, by the way?
For Ricardo Pereira, oh
Yeah, and
jeez.
for Andre Silva. Do you know what either of them? Because I don't think Andre Silva goes for the clause.
Silva is 60.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I'm pretty sure, and I'm not sure about Pereira, but I don't think it's too high with Pereira. I don't think like I was always a fan of him, but I don't think Porto ever gave him like extension or any sort of high release clause.
No.
But
I've heard.
they're probably
rumors.
rushing to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I heard rumors are wanting to re-sign, get a high release clause on that.
Yeah,
But,
that's usually the case.
I think 40 would probably be the most that Porto gets for Ricardo, though. But that's still really good money, though, for a player that never played for Porto. Yeah, take that in a heartbeat. Yeah,
I think that like even if André Silva
do we lose Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we lost Kevin, right? Nobody else can hear him, right? Okay, it's not just me. Okay, we lost Kevin. All right.
He brought up a good point though regarding so did you actually with the youth players. I'm actually pretty surprised that Porto hasn't brought up more youth players. It's really been André Silva and Rui Pedro.
And that's only for like 1 or 2 games, which really annoyed me. And Julian, if you've listened to the podcast before, I knock on this several times. Porto managed to win one of the most competitive, divisions. The second division is incredibly competitive. They win it. 90% of the players are youngsters. Only André Silva, who was already playing that season for the A squad, was the only guy called up. Like, how does that happen? You tell me that you have about 15 players, including the bench, that had the potential to win the second division, but none of them have good enough potential to play in the A team. Come on.
Right? I think no, I totally agree. I think a lot of it has to do with there's been so many coaches in such a short span of time that they don't even get a chance to assess these B team players because there's so much pressure on them. And they're trying to pick, from the players they have. They like as a coach, you probably see it in the paper or you talk with the B team coach here and there. But I mean, it kind of would be great to have more time to actually go through that. But I still don't think that's an excuse with the success that the B team has had. Like, yeah, there's really nothing to lose, even to just bring up players and put them on the bench, just for the experience alone.
Yeah, we're not even saying, hey, start these guys straight off the bat, but at least give them like 20 minutes, like every game or stuff like that, just to let them show off, especially the attackers. I mean, if they're doing something right there, I mean, so I think that's very stupid. Kevin, do we have you again? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so go on.
Geez, where did I even leave off?
I got no idea.
I was before I realized I got cut off. I was gonna say, André Silva, like if he went for 60 million, you can't say that's not realistic because Ederson is leaving for 40 million, and a goalkeeper for that much money is just way too much. And that's a great sale for Benfica.
Ederson's a much better player than André Silva, to be fair. I mean,
but 40 million for.
Well, I mean, I don't think that Andre Silva will even be. I mean, he's a good player, but I don't even think he'll be the best striker Porto has right now. I think Tiquinho and Rui Pedro will have better careers. So, I mean,
Well, that might be true, but I mean, if another club is convinced that he is the next big thing, that's really all that matters.
I don't
Like,
think I don't think anyone can make that assessment from what they watched in the past 6 months, though. And you guys know that I like Andre Silva, so like I've watched him.
well, I agree. He has fallen off, but I mean, there's a lot there's a lot to blame for that too. But yeah, like I mean, his value is definitely higher in January than it is now.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But we gotta think about something else though, and not just the money, but the player as well. And it would be the worst thing in the world to Andre Silva to leave now.
Why is that? You think?
So, yeah, I mean,
Do you think he starts next
if
season?
he can't, he has to. I mean, Porto put so much into him; he's got to start next season. Unless he just doesn't show
Over who,
anything.
though?
He plays with Suarez again or over. I mean, I don't know. It just depends what formation Sergio's going to use, but he's got to have minutes because they put so much into him.
Is he starter? I don't know. I mean, he'll definitely have minutes. I don't know if he'll start though.
I mean, he might not start right off the bat, but I think he's going to be, that first option off the bench and maybe start, every game or so, like once or twice every, so because they've invested so much into him and there's a raw potential is there. I mean, the way that he moves around in the box is very, very good. But, we just gotta. I think the worst thing that could happen to Andre Silva is leaving. Basically, I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to assess that. I mean, you look at what if I told you that Ruben Neves was going to be, benched after what he did. What was it, 2 seasons ago in the Champions League qualifying, and then he had that really good run. He went from that to really going to a bench player with limited minutes, and he was touted to be the next big thing out of Porto. And his career took a turn. So I'm like right now I'm almost for selling Andre Silva if you can at that price. Considering,
I guess if you're only thinking on the profit, then yeah. But if you're thinking about the player, I
well,
just don't know.
That's what I'm getting from you guys too. Is that if we did keep him, is he key to Porto's success next year?
I highly doubt that, but there's a chance.
Well, I think Conceição is going to have some work to do. I'm sure he'll feel a lot of pressure to give him minutes for sure, and to keep him.
All right, Kevin, can we move on the subject? Is there anything else that you to talk about the current?
I just got one more thing to touch upon Ricardo Pereira. They really need to give him a new contract because his release clause is only $25 million.
Yeah, and that's easily beatable.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. All right, so I'm just gonna move on to what everybody thinks is Porto's biggest needs at the moment. I want to start off with Sam because he's been quiet for a bit. Sam, what do you think the biggest needs are for Porto right now?
That's a tough question. I'd maybe say a better centre midfielder is probably their main priority, and if not, a better backup defender than Bolly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is that it?
Yeah, I like the strikers, Tiquinho and Andre Silva. I rate them both quite a lot. Obviously, Casillas isn't going. Like, if he leaves, obviously, but if he stays, there's no one even close to replacing him. Maybe you could say, if it counts Ricardo Pereira, you could say is needed in that team. But other than that, I'd change nothing apart from what I said.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to add 2 fullbacks, so one on each side. What do you guys think, though? Kevin, Julian, what do you guys think?
I think that for sure. I think everyone's forgetting about. When I think of Porto, they've had really good wingers over the years, and that depth is almost gone. I mean, outside of you've got Corona, and they sell Brahimi, which they play as a winger mostly. Who else do you really have?
Otávio.
Right, and is Otávio really a winger? Like, is he? That's what I mean. They've kind of lost that identity. I honestly don't think we've had. Speaking of Teixeira, I think he was the closest thing to a true number 10 like a Deku was for Porto, but
Mhm.
again, they seem to be letting him go. So yeah, I think the midfield is definitely in question. I like to see them have, they have a good holding midfielder in Danilo. They have Rubenez behind them, but I don't think they have. They're still looking for that guy, you know, going forward. And yeah, I'd like to see him get another winger. I think they were rumored to be getting some guy from Valencia, if I'm not mistaken.
Bakali?
Yeah, I've heard his name a few times. Can't say I know much about him, but yeah, I feel like they need much more depth in that spot. And I was kind of, really didn't want to see Kiembe go to in part of the Conceição deal. The B team player, I think he was from Rio Ave, but Porto,
Yeah.
he did pretty well on the Porto B team, and he's a winger, so yeah, maybe I don't know. Hopefully, he doesn't go in that deal. He looked pretty good, but yeah,
Mhm.
I'd say wingers and an attacking midfielder.
What about you, Kevin?
I think the defensive pair with Marcano and Philippe is good enough. I don't know if Marcano's going to stay, but even if he doesn't stay, I think that we should start to look in house and start calling up players from the B team. So I think as far as the left back situation and the right back situation, I think that um, Dalot should be a backup for either Ricardo Pereira if he does stay, or Maxi or Layun, whoever's going to be the starter. I like Telj to continue being the left back. I think he's pretty good. He puts in some good crosses. For him as a backup, I would really like to see Ignacio from the B team. I think that he has potential from what I saw of him in the Taça da Liga game, I believe against Feirense, if I'm not mistaken. He had a hell of a game. He's also very quick. So he could be the backup to Telj. But the right back situation is a little more different because it could be a little crowded there. But the left back situation, we only have two really that I could think of. Layun, if you want to count him too, he could be a left back. So, um, and Layun is also very versatile. You can put him as a winger or as a fullback. Um,
I
for
heard
the midfield,
Suarez. Sorry,
so oh
Kevin. I
yeah,
heard
yeah,
Suarez
that's right.
From Rio Ave had a decent year. I
That's
heard
another one.
he was trying to crack the team. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. But then that's tough because now you have three good left backs. Because Anasio, honestly, he might stay in the B team for another year, and they might give Rafa Suarez a chance. Let's face it, Sergio Conceição was going to clean house. I don't think you're
That's
gonna.
what you hope for.
Yeah, I think he's going to really do it. As far as Herrera goes, I don't think you're really going to see much of him anymore. I think the same will go for Andre. I think the midfield is going to consist of Danilo and Ruben Neves, and I really think that Otavio will be on number 10, depending if Brahimi goes, which he probably will. So you can put Otavio as a winger and then have João Carlos Teixeira as a number 10. I think the thing that we really do need, and it's shown, is we need a striker. We need a Falcao. We need a Jackson, and for a winger, I guess you can. I mean, Corona's a good winger. He's our impact player. He can come off the bench. Um, he obviously makes a difference even if he starts. But we need somebody like Quaresma. We're lacking a Quaresma or a Hulk, a Falcao, a Jackson Martinez. We need players like that with grit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we lost a bit of passion too. That's long gone. It's just not even the same anymore. It feels like I'm
No,
not
for
even watching
sure.
Porto anymore. Yeah, it's just gone. Can Sergio bring it back? Possibly, but
Maybe.
Porto's going to have to go within the B team and start with more Portuguese players, I think, to try to get that back. Start with the younger players, um, because obviously they're there. Uh, they love the team if they're there, not necessarily because they can come from Sporting or Benfica, but you can try to instill that into the younger players.
Mm-hmm. All right. So last thing to talk about here about Porto, and I'm gonna leave it up to Zach. If you could name maybe 3-4 players from their youth system that are ready to make the jump, in your opinion? If we wait for Zach to unmute his mic.
Sorry.
There we go.
3 to 4 players in Porto's B team. that are
Yeah,
ready
B
to-
team. Yeah, ready to make the jump.
I mean, I like Awazdim.
You like Shidozi?
However you say his name. The Awazian Shidozi.
Yeah,
the
Shidozi.
Nigerian guy. Yeah. And Atsio is good too. I would probably say if I had 3, I would probably go with, I like Galeno too, but I would probably say, Diogo Dalot.
Yeah.
If he counts, Fernando Fonseca, and probably Inacio. I really like this new crop of Porto defenders. I mean, I guess if we're counting Lichnowsky, the like,
Is that guy
the,
even there?
I don't even know if
He
he's
got
still
loaned
there.
out.
I mean,
I know he got
if
loaned
Rafa
out.
Suarez counts, then he's definitely there. I used to have some faith in Paciencia and Ivo Rodriguez and Victor Garcia, but I don't think they're really what Porto need personally anymore. So yeah, I would probably say 3 or 4.
You could see all of those
Awazdim,
guys. I think you could see those guys.
Inacio. And of course,
Dalo.
you've got a few Mexicans there with, Porto's like growing Mexican crop. There are a few in the B team as well.
Godinho, I know about that.
Omar
So he can
Gouveia.
make up.
Gudin.
Yeah, Gouveia.
Yeah,
He's good.
exactly. Yeah, Porto's got a pretty big Mexican crop, which will diminish if Layun leaves. But I will say that no matter what, I do think Porto will have really strong depth
Mm-hmm.
which is they'll have great fullback depth in possessions, which is something that we, have not been able to say
For a
about
while.
many teams, even like Benfica.
Hey, come on.
In the past seasons, no, I mean
Everything but the left back, though. I mean, Benfica's been good at right backs. Maxi and then Semedo. I mean, Maxi was there for like 7 years, so he can't really complain on the right side. Left side, yeah, I agree with you.
And Grimaldo is the best left back in Portugal, but still, I mean, I'm just saying the depth. I like the depth a lot. Diogo Dalot, Fernando Fonseca. I don't think they'll be able to keep hold of Ricardo Pereira, but even so, and they shouldn't either. I mean, he's a great player, but they have bigger priorities and they need to sell.
Yeah.
I would also say Alex Telles, and Maxi, of course. Yeah, it's quality depth. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's those are my players.
All right. And to finish off asking Sam a question, so Shidozi, center back, Dalo, right back, Swaj, right back and left back, and Inacio, left back. Would Porto fans, should Porto fans be happy if those guys get called up? Because they would tick the box for a 4th center back. They would tick the box for full back depth. What do you think?
For me, I obviously don't watch a lot of the B team, so I couldn't really answer that question. But it's depth, I guess. So
yeah, exactly.
If they can do better, which I'm not sure how these players are, if they're good or not. But
I mean, you gotta trust Zach.
True.
Come on.
But then, I guess
Depth guys. We're not talking about guys to go ahead and like start up from the first.
Yeah, obviously.
In a moment. So they should be happy in your opinion, right?
Maybe I'll say.
Maybe. So we end on a maybe. All right. All right. So we're going to get to the Twitter questions before I forget, and let you guys wrap it up in a moment. We'll,
all right,
do the whole thing. So we're going to start off with Neil, because there we go. I got this question that I wanted to answer, and I know this suggests the same thing, and I'll point that out. But So Neil asks, who the hell are these players that Benfica just signed? So most of them, in my opinion, are probably going to get sold for a profit. And I mean, Seferovic is going to start on the A squad. Alex Pinto is a very, very good right back for the B team and possibly the A squad next season. And Alwan Jr. that we just signed out of FAF apparently is going to help on a B team. So there you go. I'll answer that more in depth in a second. Neil asked another question. Let's be honest. Was anyone else interested in this FC Porto gig? What do you guys think?
Possibly. I think there were some people who would love to join this the side and thought they could make a difference. But I think on the same token, I think a lot of them are kind of scared and they didn't want to take the challenge. But good thing that Sergio was looking forward to the challenge and he accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What?
Sorry, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with Kevin. I think they almost, getting back to what you were saying, Peter. I think they almost, I think they needed a guy like this who's going to be tough on them. And I don't think that they actually struggle in the games against Benfica and Sporting. And Nuno did pretty well even, and that's not when they lose points really. I mean, I'm not saying they never lose to the other teams, to Sporting Benfica. I'm just saying they tend to lose points against the smaller clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Conceição can actually, light that fire under them against those small teams and, to beat them like they should have been this past season. I think he'd be good for that.
All right. Well, we just got here and mentioned, Neil just saying, according to Guidi Chaves World, Chaves signed the 24-year-old Fuguinho from Brazil. He sounds like a future hot prospect, if you guys get the pun.
Yeah.
I know, thought that's quite funny. All right. Neil asked me if any of these new signings going to make Vitória's main. Again, Ferovic is definitely going to be in the A squad. Alex Pinto might get a look at the NBA squad in preseason. All right, then we got a question from Sergio here to Sammy. And he says, Sammy boy, do you want Fábio Coentrão? Rumors tonight is that he failed his medical. Blessing in disguise or falta de dinheiro? So, lack of money.
Anything's better than Zekla, but a guy in a wheelchair is not. So, a blessing in disguise. Yeah,
does he still smoke, Fábio Coentrão?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
That could be a reason why he failed it. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't really want him anyway. I think we can sign better, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Sergio asked another question here for Julian and Kevin. The great Sergio here. Do you think Ricardo Pereira gets a consistent spot in the starting 11? I think everybody's right.
Of course.
Yeah, if they can keep him, they could. If PSG doesn't throw that money at Porto and buy him, I think he'd play. I think he'd start for sure, and he can also play. He could play left or right, and he could play wing as well, further forward. So yeah, I think for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, another question from our friendly Portistas, the awesome Sergio here again. Do you believe Nes will be missed?
Yeah.
Who will be missed?
No Espírito Santo, bro. Nes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so. I feel bad because he's a good guy, but that's a tough question. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, I think the players might a little bit. Some I remember Otavio coming out and saying that things like this happen. The coach isn't 100% to blame, but yeah, I think a lot of fans are just ready for what's next.
Mm-hmm. A final question for Julian / Kevin, the better of the two Sergios here. Do you feel you should? Do you feel Porto should cut ties with Iker / Maxi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, with Casillas, it's like Real Madrid was paying his wage for, I guess, most of his time at Porto. I don't think Porto could afford to pay anything near that. And I also really like José Sá. I think he's been waiting kind of in the wing there to come in and take over, but it's hard to do with Casillas there. And Maxi, if Ricardo Pereira comes back, yeah, I can see Maxi going.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, question for the Lampião Peter. Mr. Pedro, why is Benfica signing bums like Patrick Vieira? Hashtag minha nossa. It's quite an interesting hashtag there. Again, Sergio, I think actually Patrick Vieira is a decent player. He's obviously never going to play for Benfica. At this point, from what I'm starting to get, either it's for the clubs to pay their debt to Benfica, and others are just to make quick cash, because basically kind of what happened with Marçal. We got him on a free transfer, loaned him out to Guingamp, and basically he's wanted by every club in France now. So easy cash. I think that's what Benfica is looking for with that player. Another question for the Lampião, Peter. Who do you believe should be promoted first? Ruben Dias. What? Okay. Next time I'm not gonna say anything. Peter, who do you believe should be promoted first? Ruben Dias or Calaisa? Everybody's understanding is that it's Ruben Dias. I'm also behind Ruben Dias. But if they see something in Calaisa that we haven't seen yet, I mean, we got to roll with it. We're talking about these guys that magically decided to start playing Lindelof at center back, and I said that was the worst decision they'd ever make. Turned out, so we got to trust these guys. If they saw something in him, then then he's got something. Final question for all. Sergio Conceição's son is a Benfica junior player. Will this be an issue in 17-18? What do you guys think?
No.
Oh man,
It shouldn't be.
oh, it definitely shouldn't be unless you work for Ebola. Other than that, I really don't think. Besides the media making something of it, there's ties between the big three in Portugal in so many different levels. I really doubt this would be, unless his son came out and did something crazy, or Conceição did. I don't think so.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'd like to thank Julian for coming on. It's really interesting to have you on, and this proves that having 30 followers doesn't actually talk about your footballing knowledge.
I'm not big on Twitter, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I gotta start following more of you guys. I guess.
Yeah. I also want to point out that this is Kevin's last episode, at least for about 4 to 5 weeks. If he decides to come back, maybe a little bit more. He knows what he's doing. So we'll see you when we see you, Kevin.
Yeah, and I'll be back. So I'll be taking the summer off. I'm not leaving. So I'll see you all in August.
Not late July. Not late July.
It depends. I might do something depending on what Portugal does in the Confederations Cup. Maybe in the July to do like a complete analysis on Porto's preseason. Yeah,
because that's what I was thinking. Because preseason starts by episode 55, so that's in 4 weeks' time. So we got some time. I'll talk to you guys after this. So we'll see where you're going to come back. But he's going to come back. People, it's not going to disappear, and the podcast isn't going anywhere. Me and Sam are going to be here. Zach's going to be here, so don't worry about it. Right,
yeah,
Zach?
Exactly.
If I'm not in the weakness, I'll be there.
Yes, Zach will take over and we'll hog all of the microphones. So don't worry about it, Kevin.
Yeah.
If he's not on, he's on cloud 9.
all right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up.
All right,
we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you, Julia, for coming on once again. We'll be back next week.
Take care, guys.
We might be talking Sporting, so keep an eye out for that. See you guys next week.
All right, take care, guys.
See ya.